Okay, let's unpack this. We're going back deep into the ancient world,
Mm,
looking at what was, I think, arguably the ultimate rivalry, the struggle between the Roman Republic and Carthage.
absolutely. And this wasn't just some border dispute.
Now, this was a winner-take-all fight for, well, for everything, for
So
control of the entire Western Mediterranean.
it's so important to understand what Carthage even was. It's based in North Africa, near modern Tunis.
Right.
They weren't a land power, they were a naval superpower, a huge center for trade, totally famous for their fleets and their absolute control over the sea.
They basically ran the economy of their world.
They did. And Rome, on the other hand, was still expanding, a land power first and foremost.
But a very ambitious one.
Yeah.
And that ambition was running right into Carthaginian territory.
Exactly. You have this established trade empire bumping up against a fiercely militaristic republic.
The collision was just inevitable. It's what gave us the three Punic Wars. Long, brutal conflicts that really changed the world.
Revolutionary is the right word. The First Punic War, it almost had to happen. The spurk was Sicily.
Right, the island sitting right between them.
Perfect strategic position, and when the war kicked off, you could see the mismatch immediately.
Totally. Rome had the best infantry, the legions, but they were landlubbers.
And Carthage.
Carthage had this massive, highly advanced navy. They could sail circles around anything Rome had.
So Rome knew they couldn't win a traditional naval war.
Right, so what do?
This is where you see that classic Roman innovation. They couldn't outsail them, so they decided to, well, change the rules of the game. They invented a tool.
The corvus.
The corvus. It's brilliant.
Explain how it worked, because it's more than just a bridge.
Right.
It fundamentally changed everything overnight.
It was basically this huge hinged boarding ramp, maybe 30, 40 feet long, right on the bow of the ship. And at the end, it had this heavy metal spike.
The Raven's beak.
That's it. So when a Roman ship got close to a Carthaginian one, they would just drop the corvus. That spike would slam into the enemy deck and lock the two ships together instantly.
So it's not a naval battle anymore.
Exactly. It's a land battle on the sea. The Carthaginian sailors were amazing, but now they had Roman legionaries charging across a bridge onto their deck.
It just completely neutralized Carthage's biggest advantage.
It did, but it also came at a cost. The thing made Roman ships really top-heavy. They lost thousands of men in storms because of it.
Wow.
But in battle, it worked. Rome wins the first war, they get Sicily, and they hit Carthage with this staggering financial penalty.
And that penalty, that wasn't just about money. It was about humiliation. It created this deep resentment that leads us straight to the big one.
It leads us to Hannibal Barca.
The ultimate bogeyman for Rome.
His father basically channels all that resentment into building a new power base for Carthage in Spain. And that's where Hannibal grows up, vowing to be Rome's enemy forever.
So, the Second Punic War. Hannibal's plan is just breathtaking. Rome expects a fight at sea or maybe in Spain.
Right.
Hannibal decides to attack Rome directly on Italian soil.
And this brings us to that legendary moment, the crossing of the Alps.
With elephants.
With war elephants. I mean, can you imagine? He took something like 50,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and the elephants across these freezing high mountain passes.
The losses were catastrophic.
Oh, unbelievable. He lost almost half his men and most of the animals just getting across.
But that was the point, wasn't it? He sacrificed half an army for total strategic surprise.
Yes. He pops up in northern Italy, where no one thought he could be, and starts gathering allies.
And for more than a decade, he just runs circles around every Roman army they send at him. He was a tactical genius, ambushes, feints. He mastered it all.
Which all leads up to the high point of his genius and Rome's absolute lowest moment.
The Battle of Cannae.
At Cannae, Rome decides they've had enough. They gather the largest army they've ever assembled, maybe 80,000 men. The plan was just to crush Hannibal with sheer numbers.
He totally underestimated him.
Massively. Cannae is still, studied today. It's the perfect example of a double envelopment. Hannibal had fewer men, so he put his weaker infantry in the center in a crescent shape bulging out towards the Romans.
So bulging out, that seems wrong.
It was a trap, a deliberate invitation. As the huge Roman legions pushed forward, Hannibal's center slowly, deliberately pulled back.
So they're drawing them in.
Deeper and deeper into a pocket. Meanwhile, his best troops on the flanks, They just hold their ground.
And then the trap snaps shut.
Precisely. Once the Romans are all packed in, focused on the center, Hannibal's cavalry smashes into their rear, the flanks swing in, and that huge Roman army is completely surrounded.
Packed so tightly they couldn't even fight properly.
Couldn't even lift their weapons. The numbers are just horrifying. We're talking maybe 50, 60, even 70,000 Roman soldiers killed in a single afternoon.
It's a level of devastation that's hard to comprehend. So how? How did Rome not just surrender after that?
This is what makes Rome, Rome. Their sheer resolve. The Senate refused to negotiate. They refused to ransom the prisoners. Their message was absolute. We will never surrender to an enemy on our soil.
That stubbornness saved them. They switched to the Fabian strategy, right? Just avoiding big battles, harassing Hannibal, wearing him down.
Yeah, but that doesn't win you the war. It's a stalemate.
Until a new general steps up. A young guy.
Scipio, later known as Scipio Africanus.
And Scipio's idea was, it was brilliant because it was so counterintuitive. Don't chase Hannibal in Italy.
Right. Instead, he cuts the legs out from under him. He goes to Spain.
Which was Hannibal's supply base. His source of men, of silver, everything.
By taking Spain, Scipio basically choked Hannibal's campaign in Italy.
But he didn't stop there. This is the masterstroke.
Yeah.
He doesn't go back to Italy.
No, he sails directly to North Africa and threatens Carthage itself.
He uses Hannibal's own strategy against him.
Exactly. So the Carthaginian government panics and they have to call Hannibal home. After more than a decade, he has to leave Italy to go defend his own city.
And that sets up the final showdown. The two greatest generals of the age.
The Battle of Zama. Scipio had studied Hannibal. He was ready for the war elephants. He just opened up lanes in his formations, and the elephants ran right through without doing much damage.
And he used his cavalry better.
He used his cavalry better, he achieved a total victory, and the Second Punic War was over.
Carthage was stripped of its empire, its army, everything. They were basically neutered.
Which brings up a really interesting question. If Carthage was already destroyed as a military power, why was there a Third Punic War?
Yeah, why the need for total annihilation?
The answer is Roman politics, and one very loud, very obsessive voice, Cato the Elder.
Right. So even though Carthage was militarily crippled, they were still a great port. They started to get wealthy again just through trade.
And this terrified Cato. He saw any Carthaginian success, no matter how small, as a threat.
So he started ending every speech in the Senate. I mean, every speech, no matter the topic.
With the same 5 words, Carthago delenda est.
Carthage must be destroyed.
And that relentless pressure worked. Rome just needed an excuse.
And they got one when Carthage fought back against a Roman ally who was raiding their land. A violation of the treaty.
So Rome declares war. The Carthaginians know they can't win. They try to surrender. They give up their weapons. They give up hostages.
But Rome's final demand was just unthinkable.
They told the people to abandon their city, their entire city, and move 10 miles inland.
Away from the sea, which was their entire identity, their lifeblood.
So they refused. And they prepared for a final, desperate siege.
A 3-year siege. And you have to think about the desperation. They'd given up their weapons, so they turned the whole city into a weapon factory.
Day and night, everyone working. There are stories that the women of Carthage cut off their hair to be woven into ropes for the catapults.
Wow!
That's the level of commitment we're talking about?
But in the end, the Romans, under another Scipio Aemilianus, they break through the walls.
But even that wasn't the end. The fight then became this 6-day, street-by-street, house-by-house nightmare.
Urban warfare. Just brutal attrition.
To clear a path, Scipio eventually just ordered the city to be set on fire. After 6 days, the last defenders finally surrendered.
And then came the final order from the Roman Senate. Total erasure.
Not just conquering it, tearing down every single building, leveling the walls until nothing was left.
Which is where that myth about salting the earth comes from.
Exactly. It's probably not literally true, but it captures the intent perfectly. They wanted Carthage gone, cursed, to never rise again.
The survivors were sold into slavery. The land becomes a Roman province, Africa Proconsularis.
And it becomes the breadbasket of the empire. It fed Rome for centuries.
So in the end, what does it all mean?
Well, the destruction of Carthage left Rome as the undisputed master of the Mediterranean. It's what allowed the Republic to become the empire.
So the Punic Wars were really the crucible that forged the Roman Empire.
I think so. It was the ultimate test of their resolve. They weren't always the smartest, but they were always the most determined.
And that's the real takeaway, I think. History is written by the winners. We know so much about Rome because they wrote it all down. But when Carthage was leveled, not just the city, But their culture, their language, their history, it all just vanished.
We're left with just the Roman side of the story.
Imagine the stories, the knowledge that was lost forever, just because Rome decided that their rival absolutely must be destroyed. That's really something to think about. Good luck with your studies.